What do you think is preventing Manchester United from winning the biggest trophies and titles over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Pep Guardiola or Jose Mourinho?
Well, I mean, it was Pep Guardiola for that question. If you take him out of the equation, then City might not be the force they are, which means United go top.
So you think the only thing basically stopping you from winning Prem's next 2 or 3 years is Pep Guardiola?
Well, the question was, is it Pep or is it Jose? If you're going to do that dichotomy, it's Pep. Because take Pep out of the equation,
Yeah.
United
You know what I'm getting to.
I know you're getting at. But I think United are following the pattern of how I think all Jose projects go. And they should be peaking around now, or if not, like in the next few months. And they've just got Alexis Sanchez, which just got confirmed before we went on air. So yeah, if Pep wasn't there and City weren't the monster that they are, United would probably be on a good way to challenging, if not winning, the title. Champions League is a different kettle of fish, but then I think the Premier League is in a low moment when it comes to European football. So that's a bigger battle than one man at one club can really battle. Although we'll see with Guardiola at City, that might change. But yeah, I think there are issues in terms of whether the pattern's going to continue as it did at Chelsea and I would say at Real Madrid. Some people would dispute that, where you do get burnout, you do get this kind of like mental, attritional kind of fatigue with Mourinho, and a bit like we were talking about with Marco Silva a bit earlier on. I think the intensity that Mourinho demands from players and like the kind of rigid discipline and role playing he demands, I think there is a shelf life to it, and that's why whether it's the 3rd or the 4th season, he ends up turning to the owner going, I need you to buy me a new squad, and the owner goes, well, it's cheaper to sack you, so we'll do that. I think that is fundamentally the problem, and that's a problem he's going to have to overcome at United. And I think United are almost like a return to the challenge he faced at Real Madrid, where these are two clubs where they've got an established history. They're the biggest clubs in the world, depending on who you ask. Whereas you compare what he did at Inter, Chelsea, Porto, in various ways, they were all challenger clubs. Okay, Porto were the biggest club in Portugal, but they're not the biggest club in Europe. That's why it suited him to be an underdog in that sense. Chelsea, flush with cash, but they were trying to become the next big dominant force in the Premier League, because that's another kind of back foot that he can launch himself from. Inter, they were historically massive underachievers, so again, suits him down to the ground. I think that a place like Real Madrid and Man United, his kind of mythology that he projects around himself is never going to overcome the established kind of history and sense of kind of presence that's around these clubs. And eventually, as we saw at Real Madrid, it sends him a bit west. I think the Mourinho that returned to England after he'd been in Spain was, the mischief had gone, I think. The fun factor that Mourinho had at Chelsea, and okay, he could also be incredibly controversial, a lot of people hated him there. There was still almost like a knowing wink to a lot of the stuff he did first time at Chelsea. I'd say a mischievousness, I'd say, is probably the best way to call it. Whereas now he's back in England, he's looked like a broken man sometimes. He's been even quicker at turning bitter and, just
miserable and just...
It was
angry, but not fun angry.
Yeah, as much as you hated it, I'm sure. But when he said Arsene Wenger's a voyeur, like that was too far. But too far in a way, he went, all right, that's quite. But then when he was at Chelsea and Rafa Benitez's wife said something, he didn't find like a funny way around it. He just went straight for the throat, as in like.
He basically said his wife should sit at home and be tied to the kitchen.
He seemed like a guy who like lost all patience. Like he was impatient for success, for everything. There was an unhappiness to him. Okay, we found out later that his father was very ill as well, which maybe didn't help. But
maybe.
Well, yeah,
Come on now.
But still,
give him a break.
We have to give him a break. But he also doesn't help himself. You know what I mean? He also sets himself up into these big media narratives, which he's made his USP. Like we're talking about Silva, the kind of unity in the dressing room was a big thing for him. I think Mourinho, Pep Guardiola said he's the king of the press room, whatever. He's the king outside the 90 minutes or something. I think that's even true now. I think he saw Conte off in their recent like kind of press to and fro. And I think
Conte just won that one.
If you need to get personal, you're not winning. If you need to get personal,
but Mourinho gets personal and knows how to.
But keep Fergie and Wenger, when they used to go at each other, they were smart about it. Like Fergie would praise his team. Wenger's like everyone thinks they have the prettiest wife at home.
Mourinho doesn't want to be smart. He knows that level. He gets you down to the level, then he beats you. Well, of course he is. But he doesn't care.
I've been hearing the last few months Tasha, that, United in any other season, they'll be winning this league. It's only because of what City are doing, it makes United look bad.
You say that so nonchalantly.
And I tell you what, I do, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why, and I want to get your input. I know you love Jose Mourinho as well. But I'm not so sure if that's true, because while there's no shame in being second to Manchester City and Pep Guardiola,
This Manchester City.
there is shame in being 12, 15 points behind Manchester City. Manchester City being great had nothing to do with United losing at Huddersfield, had nothing to do with United drawing at Liverpool. So I'm not sure I agree with this idea that United in any other year would be flying.
I agree with
Which
you.
side of the fence do you sit on?
It's not like
City have only lost one game.
Listen, they're doing great things. They're doing. I'm not saying United should be top. But there shouldn't be 12 points behind. Is my
the point is,
they shouldn't be out of the race
people are
at
making
Christmas.
it like City and Man and United are playing each other 15 times, and that's why they're second. They're not. United are playing the same teams that City are playing. You can't defend the fact they're that far behind and still say they would be winning it in another season, because when he closes up shop against, was it Liverpool when they got the draw? What's that got to do with Pep Guardiola? That's got nothing to do with Pep. That's Jose.
No, but
when he restricts his team, doesn't allow them to go forward, goes 1-0 up and decides like we're gonna shut up shop. That's nothing to do with Pep.
No, but it is, because the point is that would be enough if City weren't City. Because they would still be top.
But having recognised what City are doing,
we live
you
in a
have to
world of goal
adapt
difference.
and realise that a point at Liverpool isn't a good point anymore.
But you only adapt if you've got the resources. You don't pretend.
No.
Hold on.
Smallest violin.
Hold on. I haven't even made the point.
I gotta hear this.
Come at me.
I gotta hear this.
I'm saying the striker was firing at the beginning of the season. The striker's not firing, right? Are we agreed?
Lukaku?
Yeah. Are we agreed?
Yeah.
Right? The resources. So who does he replace him with? Just out of interest.
Martial.
It's like an
Straight through the
Ibrahimovic.
middle.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Hold on, straight through the middle.
Marcus Rashford.
Hold on, straight through the middle.
Yes.
Rashford.
Who else has done that? Who else?
Ibrahimovic is on £375,000 a
To be
week.
a striker.
do what?
No.
What's she there?
And that's why they bought Alexis, because it didn't work. Right? You made a decision to keep people, right?
That's not resources,
hold
though.
on.
What kind of foolish decision was that? That's like me. That's like going to the supermarket. The meat goes off tomorrow, and you pay full price and don't get a discount. He was injured at the start of the season. You were only ever going to get maybe 15 Premier League games out of him, and then plus 10 other. But you kept him on rather than
He was a
give your younger players, your children, your younger players the experience they need to enable them to make a positive.
I'm not playing Martial. I don't think
team.
anybody on this table is playing Martial or Rashford through the centre as the first striker.
I would.
No one.
I think Martial is better through the middle, personally.
I don't think Martial's.
So
better
is your
through
point that basically he's trailing Pep Guardiola because his resources are lesser?
So he didn't spend his money well enough
that's
then.
not. Don't put words in my mouth.
No. That was a question. That was a question.
You mean because I clearly made this guy? It's a question. No. He's not. To answer the
So
question.
what are you saying then?
Yeah,
Okay.
Man City are playing extraordinarily well. That's why they're trailing Man City. They've drawn too many games. That's the bottom line for me.
And whose fault is that?
I'm saying they've drawn too many games, Jordan. It's not about whose fault it is.
but
That's
there's a reason
football.
for that.
That's football.
Okay,
Hold on. Why reason I say that?
whose
Hold on.
fault is it that City
Can I
have
finish
Hang on.
the
Okay.
point?
Let's go.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Joe. Finish your point. Finish
the point.
Finish your point.
2 seasons ago, Tottenham were firing, man. But we finished. We drew with about 8. We started with about 8 draws, and finished second in the league, right? Mm-hmm. Third, actually, just behind Arsenal.
Yeah.
So whose fault was that? Pochettino's. Why we drew all those games? It doesn't go like that, Jordan. Sometimes you draw games. That's how football is.
But you just made the point. You drew a lot of games.
I'm saying
after a while, it becomes less unlucky and there's something going wrong. When you're drawing that many games, something is wrong.
They've drawn 5 games this year.
Yeah,
and that's the reason why there's so many points off of City, in my opinion.
Yeah, but does he not have to recognise that what Pep's doing is working for him? So what Jose's got to do is adjust and realise that I can't go to Anfield and take a point. 5 years ago, a point at Anfield might have been good.
Yeah,
now the game's changed.
Yeah, but he can't lose that game,
No,
Jordan.
but to compare-
So what I'm saying to you is, if we want to look at that game, who is he adjusting with? Because I'm saying, if the striker weren't firing, who is he adjusting with, Jordan? Let's not pick imaginary players out of the blue.
Who was the team on form in that game, going into that game?
My thing between Liverpool and Man United is anything could happen in that game. We all know that.
Yeah, but that
We all
game,
know that,
Liverpool were on the ropes.
Did you expect Liverpool to beat Man City last week?
I predicted the City win.
Did you expect Liverpool to win? That's my question.
My dad actually did, and I was like, you don't know what you're talking about.
I think I spoke to about 2 people that expected them to win. But guess what? Because Liverpool are playing well, everybody said they could cause a problem.
But Liverpool had that game on form.
But
the United game, they were not on form.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
No,
I still didn't expect them to win the game. Form or not, Man City have been playing much better than Liverpool, bruv. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you expect City to go there and do what they've done to everybody else.
So is Jose doing the best he can do?
I think if he had other options, and which is why he's brought in Alexis in the transfer window. If he had other options, I don't think it would be as bad as it is at the moment. And personally, remember I've said this on your show before as well. Chelsea won 13 games on the spin last year, and that was what won them the league. Man City won 18 on the bounce. 18 more. I bet you that's what wins them the league.
Listen,
I'm just saying.
No. I don't think Jose's failing because he's second. I think Jose's failing because he's second by 12 points.
And my thing is this:
and because
12
he sends
points.
His team
Hold on. But 12 points. What's that?
4 games.
Right. So what we saying? Remember, I said they've drawn 5. You know.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is that they shouldn't have drawn those 5.
I'm saying,
and they should be tying with City, who have played better than everybody else, better than any other City team ever.
But I think there's an argument to suggest that in those 5 draws, if he'd have tried to win those games, he might have won some of those draws.
He might have lost them as well, Jordan.
Of course, but at least try and win the games. Give yourself a chance.
No, Jordan, because the season. Because it's 38 games in the season, Jordan.
I agree, but not 2, not 5. Joel, the way City started the season, you have to understand that draws are no good this year. They're no good this year.
The second biggest club in the Premier League, then on average, they may lose one of those games by going to win it. But out of 5 games, they're likely to win 4 of those.
Do you know what?
So it's worth taking the risk and gaining those extra
points. Take the risk with who? The striker stopped firing.
No, I'm not talking about who's playing on the pitch.
Who?
I'm saying, why are you setting your team up for a draw?
United have got at least 3 or 4 strikers.
I don't believe they're good enough. I'm like Jose. I don't believe they're good enough.
I think we're falling into the same trap that Mourinho pushes, that we're talking about the individuals, whereas clearly with City, it's not just about the individuals, it's about the system as well. Yeah. And you said earlier, why can't Mourinho adapt to Pep? Well, to be fair to Mourinho, it's like
adapt to Pep, but adapt to what he was doing clearly wasn't working, hence the draws that Joel brings up. So change something.
But it has been working for years. Mourinho's one of the most successful managers in the history of football.
But he's at Man United now.
Let me finish now. So Mourinho, he's from the same era where him and Rafa Benitez were like 2 of the creme de la creme managers of the time. They are from an era where it's all about the shape, all about nullifying your opponent's strengths, all about basically winning the match by preparing and basically almost like being like a siege engineer almost. The offside law got liberalised. Pep Guardiola rised up with Barcelona. Possession football came in. Now we're in this like weird gegenpressing transition thing, or maybe even post that now. It's not about how to stifle your opponents now. It's how to beat your opponents. And people say, "Oh, Mourinho's past it." He's not past it completely, but his excellence is from a slightly different era, and it can still clearly compete. He's second in the Premier League. But when you say he needs to adapt to this new reality, maybe he can't. Not everyone can. It's like taking like a shark to like the ocean and go be a tiger now. You can't. They're 2 different like modes of completely like one's wet, one's on the land. I've lost track of this.
No, that's
completely. But you know what I mean?
But it's philosophies is essentially what you're talking about, right? And that's
exactly. Bring back Louis van Gaal.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
I'll bring back. Listen, Pep hasn't won the league yet. You know, when he wins the league, then we can turn around and look at what his achievements have been like and how he did it. You know what I mean, and why, and all the teams that finished beneath them. Because I told you on this show as well,
they've all failed.
We're only a couple of seasons past Leicester winning the title when everybody had to look at themselves, right? And there was a lull in the quality of the league. That's why Tottenham punched above their weight and finished 3rd and then 2nd. And now we're looking at Tottenham. They're probably where they're supposed to be, given what's been spent. The teams everybody stepped up. So for me, I just see it as Man City had a plan. Bring in Pep. Pep came in, took a season to work it out. Everybody was after the first 10 games last season were outstanding. And guess what? People started knocking long balls. What did he do this year? He bought Kyle Walker, 50 mil. You lot spent 50 mil on Lacazette. Shows you the priorities. You understand what I'm saying? And said, this is how we're going to stop that from happening. It stopped it from happening. This season...
But he hasn't been more cautious. He's played exactly the same way.
But he knows he's got Kyle Walker, because they can't play over the top no more.
But I think what the difference there is, you've said he had a plan, and he came with a plan. He's built to a plan.
That's right.
I'm not saying this to be critical of Mourinho, because again, Mourinho, for me, he's someone who sets up to stifle the opposition first, rather than think about his plan A. His plan A is to think about the opposition's plan A, how to stop it. I still don't look at Mourinho's Man United and think there's a plan there. The plan is to win at all costs, but I think these days that's quite limiting in a weird way, because you don't win at all costs anymore. You have like almost like a USP for what you want your team to be, and you focus yourself on being the purest kind of vision for what that is. Klopp's doing it at Liverpool. I think Poch's doing it at Spurs. I think Pep's doing it at City. I actually think Conte's doing it at Chelsea. Conte, people call it defensive. I don't think it's defensive. It's so balanced. Last season, the way they could just turn from defence to attack. It's structured. Conte talks about automizations. That's how he talks about it. Mourinho doesn't do that. Mourinho's the opposite. It's almost... Bear with me. It's almost Wenger-esque in a way, as in he leaves it up to the intuition and the kind of improvisational ability of the individual.